We'll do the little thing. Hey guys, how are you? Crafty here from Craftworks Distillery and Aussie Crafts. Fuck it.
And now it's time for
Throw the Todd under the bus.
There's only one word from.
He's an asshole.
Handball.
He's a real big asshole.
Handball.
At least I get to have a bit of a time to build up. Hey guys, welcome to Craftworks.
No, it's not Craftworks. You idiot. I'll take over.
That's it. You're right.
I'll take over. Good evening, all. We'll start again. First of all, rest assured, we have not actually had any alcohol yet. Okay.
No.
Not well, he had now. So this is Aussie Craft Distillers shooting the shit. For those that don't know, it's a podcast, YouTube channel, and we shoot the shit. We have conversations with people in the industry in Australia, but also internationally as well. So tonight we've got our good friend Mick from Imbue Distillery down in Victoria. G'day, Mick. How are you, bud?
I'm amazing. Sweating my ass off right now, but that's okay. It's a
It's a good night to wear
tomorrow,
pajamas.
Well, maybe, but if I do get up, don't look at the bottoms because I may have my pajamas on because it's so hot. Your battery's not working too well.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, look, this is my shed, and certainly I've done the podcast a few times without pants, so there's something you think about.
No, it's not. Nothing about it at all. I can tell you that.
That's one for the ladies.
Nothing to look at.
So this is actually a first, we believe. So, Todd, what's the first?
Yes, so the first is it's the first time all three of us been in the same room at the same time. Luke and I have been in the room together. Some of our best work with the two of us in the room. Buffett and I have been in the room together. Doubtful whether that was our best work, but anyway.
Anyway, so we're all here tonight. We've got some great products to try. So first of all, a big thank you to Mick and Mel. They sent us some samples. Not one, not two, not three. Jesus, nearly spilt it. Not four, not five. That's 6 samples. 6 samples.
There you
1,
go.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah,
Look at you counting.
yeah, I know. Impressive. So,
Did you notice you went to the second hand though?
I did notice, yeah.
so
Lucky you didn't give us 13, you'll be really lost.
he's good live. He's good live, isn't he? Yeah,
You just see
It's
him
good with a
counting
speaker
like
that doesn't have a lag on it.
yeah, it makes a difference. So tonight there's another first tonight, and the other first is
Got no idea.
no, you do,
Do I?
yeah, because we've been talking about it. What are we going to do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think I know. We're going to critique Imbue's releases.
Juice.
Juice.
They
Juice.
haven't been released yet, so if
Oh,
you
there
guys
you
give it
go.
a hard
Right.
rap, we're just going to not release that barrel. It's going to be another 5 years before the fucker comes out.
All right,
We're going to critique something on live on telly.
we're
I
a bit
think the
telly.
trick with the
What's the sort of telly?
It's not a telly. It's a bloody
It
screen.
looks like a little screen man.
Talk
this,
to Mr.
this is
IT
going
over there.
well.
Yeah, let's get going, guys. All right, Mick, what do you got in the glass, mate? What are you drinking?
I've got. You don't want to see what I've got going on right now. I'm actually drinking, funnily enough, a couple of things. I've got a friend out in. I'm going to see if you can see that. This is. I don't know if you can be able to see it. This is actually from Noble Bootlegger. So this is one of their whiskey releases. So I was very lucky to score one of their releases. So this was a 4-year age whiskey, and then they've aged it for another 12 months in a Pedro barrel. So it's very beautiful juice.
Wow,
From
yeah,
Dan and Chris out at Noble in Bendigo.
in Bendigo.
Yeah, so I've got that in one glass, and I've actually got some Outcast in the other one because I couldn't.
Chicken alley,
worry.
awesome.
I've got a bit going on right now. So.
Oh, he's a bit of a loser, that guy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, he's very short.
For those who don't know, we actually are good friends, just in case.
Yeah, that's it.
We're good friends. I think.
Were.
We're-
Past
Yeah,
tense.
we're-
Yeah, you're off the Christmas card list now.
Hang on. Oh, sorry, Lee. Sorry. What? No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't.
You said you're vertically challenged.
Yeah, no more Christmas card list for me.
Have you tried his beer?
No, I haven't.
It's
good.
yeah, beer ski. We went down. We did a road trip, as you know.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome road trip. Todd and I and Rog from the shed, and so we caught up with Lee. We had a great time and tried his beer. It was very cool, very very cool. I think he's on to something there, which is
Beer's actually harder than spirits, I think.
Bullshit.
Get the fuck out of the room. Get the. Oh, it's your
You're
house.
dribbling shit. You're dribbling shit.
Excuse me.
You know,
All right.
straight away it's crap if it's beer. You got 21 days and then it's crap. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
no-
absolutely.
there's no
you do.
mystery with it.
Yeah. Well, it raises a good point. We'll kick this off. I'd like to cover this topic. So there's a bit of an economic downturn, right?
Mm.
And we're in the business of luxury goods in some ways, right? But with production, breweries and white spirit producers, they can turn on and off their production based on where they are in the business and the economic climate. But brown spirits, as you well know, we can't. We're making decisions now for 4 years down the track plus, aren't we?
Yeah.
So what's your take on all that?
I'm actually at the struggle end of it when looking at it from a financial point of view, which we struggled through about 3 years ago. We put a fair bit of juice down about 3 years ago, and then we financially couldn't afford to. And part of the reason we haven't released whiskey as yet is because the exact reason that we couldn't financially do it.
Right.
I think it does make it hard having to forecast 3 or 4 years down the track. And I think in 3 or 4 years, if we stop putting juice down now, we're fucked. In essence, breweries are definitely, and it's a cheaper price point as well, even though it's not really, but it kind of is. You look at the average slab price, about $80 for a craft slab versus a bottle of gin for $70-$80. It's pretty, or whiskey at $100. It's about the same price per drink.
Yeah.
I think their costs are higher generally because of the way they operate. We, as distillers, operate on a smaller crew, and I think we typically can roll with the punches easier than a brewery can.
There's a lot of pressure in craft brewing segment. Now I've talked to people in the industry, and a lot of breweries have gone the wholesale route, and the wholesale route is completely and utterly saturated. So having your own brew pub presence and your local community is absolutely essential and fundamental to survival going forward. I'm hearing that time and time again now.
Yeah. Well, we do a bit of work with a couple of local breweries. We do some with, what are they called? Hop Hen down in Lilydale. We've also worked closely with Golden Hills, which is just over the hill from us, 3 or 4 kilometres away as the crow flies. And I think a lot of it's based on whether or not people like your juice. And if you're in a very bogan area, that's fancy for bogan. If you're in a very bogan area, some of the craft breweries don't do as well as they could. And I think, Diamond Creek, where Golden Hills is, it's a great little setup. It's very big. Their beer, I really, really rate their beer. But I'm not 100% sure if too many of the locals do. So it's one of those situations where they want the Carlton draft, but they're getting, their version of the draft, which for me is a much better drink to have, whether or not those cashed up bogans actually want to pay it or not. Yeah,
right. Let's comment on your first barrel that we tasted. Barrel, which one's that? 10.
Which one are you going? 10.
10.
Better pour some.
Very aromatic.
44%.
44%. Yeah, that's
And that's what was that? It was
that's a port barrel.
That's an Australian sherry barrel that's been recoopered, and that's actually first fill for that one.
First fill?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so aromatic. It's,
aromatic. Yeah, we all agree. It's really aromatic. And it's really buttery. Really buttery. That's really, really creamy. That's got beautiful mouthfeel.
Yeah.
And it's a nice taste. So it's a single malt.
Legs on it.
100% single malt. So I've used a Pilsner malt on that one.
Right.
In our Crafty mash tun, we've got a 250-litre mash tun, so it takes quite a while for us to fill a 100-litre barrel, which this one is. It took a couple of days for me to do it, which was, but it tastes all right.
And that's straight from the barrel now.
Mm-hmm.
Like a
that's. I gave it a bit of a shaky, and did my classic siphon out of my 4mm hose. So if there's a bit of slobber on the end of the thing, it's all good.
I was wondering what that little bit of extra something.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Saliva just adds another dimension. Hey, if it's good enough for Peter Bignall, it's good enough for anyone else.
The cream of some young guy in there.
He's very funny live, isn't he? He's a resident comedian
he needs
now.
an audience. That's the problem. We don't have enough viewers to be an audience.
I'll come to your stand-up routine.
Benching other people's work.
Mate, that's a thumbs up.
Yep.
Like
that one.
That's a thumbs up.
3 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I was a little bit worried. It's a little bit one-dimensional. That's why part of the reason. So
It's
that's
a very easy drinker.
It's not one-dimensional, not at all.
No, it's an easy drinker. It's
It's got a decent
lovely,
amount of length on it.
summery.
Doesn't fall off a cliff like some that we've tried.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It's got a lot of length, as Todd said, and it's also it hits you in the front of the mouth, not at the back. It's more at the front.
Yeah.
And no, we're gonna move on.
No,
Move on.
I want to try it again.
On this
Oh,
one.
okay,
About
all
an
right.
hour.
All right. Yeah, it hits you in the mouth and it
There's
sits in
a
the
little
front.
Something in the. I can't quite pick. Like,
It's cream. All right,
I don't want to say it's.
just a little bit, not much. Well, that's fine.
Maybe it's.
So while we're doing this, for those that don't know
soda.
Imbue and
Creamy
the story,
soda, yeah.
why don't
Creaming soda.
creaming soda? Yeah, creaming
Yeah.
soda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
It's creaming soda, not cream some young guy.
Look, you can take your pick what you put on the
Hang
label.
on, some young guy sounds like a Chinese. Oh, this is bad. We have to edit this
Where's
one.
that dump button?
We got to edit this one. We're going to get in so much trouble.
What are these things coming up? Oh shit! Okay.
What?
Wait,
Oh, we got
don't say
we
this
got
was-
people watching.
We do.
The three wise men.
Here's an oxymoron if I've ever seen one.
I thought that some young guy was a really good one.
I said look like 3 young guys.
You know, I reckon that's definitely on the nose. It's creaming soda. That's what I get.
Yeah, it's almost got a wheaty note to it on the nose. I thought, oh, it's barley and wheat, but that's 100% barley. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, 100% barley.
And did you say Pilsner or
Yeah,
or
Pilsner. Pilsner.
Yeah.
I've played around with a lot of the barrels. This is one I did about 3 years ago. So I actually had to go back and go, shit, what was that one?
it's got an acetone nose on it, which is not a bad thing. It's a style.
Certainly
So
nice.
acetone is sort of nail polish remover, but it's not a bad thing. It's something which people
It's quite
common,
common,
they seek out in whiskies.
but it's not a strong. It's there, just sort of in the background. It's not forward.
No, it's juicy.
It's more creamy soda forward for me on the nose.
Mate, that's really good.
Yeah, it's
I'm
lovely.
enjoying
All
that.
right. So while we pour our second one, tell us a bit about Imbue. Tell us about how you and Mel got together too.
Okay, so yeah. All right, so I'll tell you because she's not here, so I'll tell you the
real story.
honest to God real story. I was a horny young guy. No, No,
Let's come back to that.
I worked at a wholesale bakery in Melbourne, and I was managing their wholesale division, and they moved me to a small store to manage that, and I was super excited by that. They gave me a company car, but I could only literally drive it to the shop and back. But I realised, because I'm such a tight ass, that if I drove past their other shop, I could get a free cup of coffee on a Sunday when there was no managers around. And Mel, funnily enough, was the barista behind the coffee machine. So I used to sit on the stairs behind the coffee machine and just talk shit with her. And it was a couple of times I was like, oh, hang on, she's a bit of a right. And so I started asking around the head office, Kayla, who was one of her friends and also one of mine because I worked in the head office. And I said, oh, what's going on with Mel? She seems quite nice. And she said to me that, oh, her dad's heavily religious. She's a vegan. And, she's a vegan. And I don't know, she doesn't do a lot. And I'm like, okay, 2 strikes, vegan and, heavily religious. But got to know her a little bit more. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I can kind of get over that. She's all right.
Yeah.
And on the other end of the scale, I found out that she was asking about me, which, why wouldn't she? I mean, I was pretty hot at that point.
Did you have more or less hair?
I actually had about the same amount of hair as what I've got. I had less facial hair and probably less body hair, but these things happen. And one day I was down at the shop just about to leave. This is down in Brighton, and she waddles through the door. And I'm like, I actually didn't see her come through the door. I hopped in the car and I drove around the corner and I saw her cross the road. So I made up some bullshit excuse to go back in and buy some very, very overpriced eggs on my very dismal wage. And she was in there. So I started talking to her and she invited me to her birthday party for a 22nd birthday party. And I was like, oh, shit, this is all right.
Wow.
And I thought it was a bit fleeting. So I asked Kayla, who worked in head office, I said, oh, what's, apparently it's Melanie's birthday and are you going to go? And she said, no, but I think you really should go. And I said, oh, really? I don't know. I'm not going to know anyone. So anyway, I told my dad and I said, oh, look, I think I've met someone, but I'm not really sure. And they've invited me to a birthday party. And before I could say cat in the hat, my stepmom had handed me $50 and said, you look like shit, go and get a haircut. So I went and got a haircut, and then I went to my mum's house, and she said, "Oh, well, you can't wear that." So Mum went out and bought me a brand new shirt. Said, "You've got to wear this." And anyway, everyone was rooting for me to try and get a root, I guess. But
I can see that one coming.
yeah.
You might want to retract the waddle statement, though. I think that's going to get you in trouble later on.
It will. It will. It will. So anyway, I went along and we just hit it off. So we absolutely hit it off, and we spent every night together for about 3 weeks, and I shot off to Tasmania for about a week, and every day we spoke for about 3 hours until my phone went flat. And we pretty much didn't spend a night apart. It was absolutely, except for that trip to Tassie, we just both were in a really good headspace.
Yeah.
So we hit it off. A few months later, we moved in together, and she's honestly, she's amazing. She's been my rock through everything I've ever wanted to push myself with. She's been there to kind of encourage me, support me. And I hope I'm hers, but I really don't know. I think, she's still here after 15 years. So I guess I'm not, it's either that or there's not enough money that she wants to leave me for someone else.
So, and you work with each other, day in and day out, you've got your business. I couldn't work with my wife. Well, I do.
Well, she'd kill you.
She'd kill me. She kills me anyway. How do you do it? What's the secret? How do you get space?
I think it's just respect. I've got my stepmom is a very, very logical person, and she always comes up with these very kind of, I call them, I don't know, just great statements. And she said, when you're in a relationship, you've got to and you're not feeling the best, you've got to say, is this an us problem or is this a external problem? And every time Mel and I have had an issue, we say to each other exactly that. Is this an us? Is this a me? Or is this an outside? And 99% of the time, it's an external thing. And we just talk about it and we come to a way of just working through it. And I think it's absolutely awesome. She's friggin' amazing. She's very, very solid, and she's very, very smart. So it kind of makes me wonder why I managed to score someone so far up the ladder than me. But I don't know.
Well, I think that's the end of the Love Mel show. Shall we move on?
Yeah, that's it. I can't blow any more smoke up that ring.
Yeah. Right, so we're now drinking the next one.
Okay.
Which one?
Barrel 33.
Barrel 33.
No, it's barrel.
No, barrel
You
eight.
mix them up then. It's
Which
barrel
one?
eight.
Oh, it's barrel 8, is it?
Oh, you go
Barrel
barrel
8.
eight. Okay. Yeah.
I'm
so
getting on the nose, and this is something I look for in whiskey. I love it. Pastry.
49%.
Oh, which one did you pull?
Oh,
No,
shit.
it's
49%.
Barrel 8, but it's 49%.
Oh, yeah, okay, barrel 8. So, yeah, I love pastry. Bakery goods. I think Christy Lark from Clara nails the bakery thing.
I thought she just ate a lot of croissants just before she was doing a match. You know?
No.
No, I'm gonna get a DM later, and she's gonna kick my ass.
But we've got it in Craftworks, and it's a really
Croissants.
croissants. You say croissants. I say croissants.
We don't have them in craft works. You never give me that sort of stuff.
No, we have it as a flavour identifier.
Oh, okay, all right.
But it's very fleeting. It's sort of in and out, which I'm intrigued. I don't know how we've done that, but we have. But yeah, pastry. I get pastry on the nose. What do you get?
Yep.
Sort of
No,
an icing bun, sort of a French. What do you call those things? The
Brioche.
yeah. No, not so much brioche. More a just a nice
Okay.
croissant.
The croissants with the macaron.
Oh, there you go.
Those.
Yep.
What
That
was that
works.
language you just spoke?
I think that was Bogan.
That was begun.
Bogan
French.
French. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Okay, I haven't tasted it yet.
Yeah, good on you. So once again, this is straight out of the barrel, and so what I've done, that went into the barrel at about 53%, and we lost about 15 litres of evaporation over the 3 years that's been in there. So then I topped that up with Yarra Valley's Finest about 6 months ago, and that brought it down to the ABV it's at the moment. So I'm not sure where we're going to sit with the ABV when we release that.
Which was 49%. It doesn't drink like a 49%.
It's so
It's
you're
definitely a bit more spicy.
you're exploring something which I'm quite
Yes.
fascinated by. Mainly what I see in the US at lower barreling strengths than some of the craft distilleries, and actually dropping the ABV in the barrel, which is something we want to start playing around with. We used to barrel at about 64.5 cask strength, and now we're barreling close to 60, about 61. But this concept of more water soluble compounds, by having water in the barrel, and rather than shock the whiskey at the end by adding water, but to do it gently in the barrel before you come to actual release, I think it's a really interesting approach. So yeah, hats off, mate. Hats off on that one.
It is a more expensive way to go, but I think that the juice is starting to show really, really well. Some of our bourbon barrels that we've had, our 200-litre bourbon barrels, have been doing the same thing with.
Yeah,
they're absolutely cracking. And there's some beautiful banana notes. There's some really, really nice, subtle stone fruits and some subtle citrus and some tobacco. Some really, really interesting notes coming through. But I know that at the end, the ABV is going to talk, and I won't have to cut it that much. But if you look, if I'd gone in higher, I could have got 200 bottles out of that barrel.
Yeah,
We're looking probably 130, 140, because I'm not going to I'm not going to cut it that much. So it is a more expensive way to do it because you're sitting on the juice for so long and the space and all the rest of it. But I don't know.
No, it's old school American whiskey barreling approach, which is cool. Yeah, it's really cool. You know, the concept of going into a higher ABV is really, it was driven by efficiency. Way back, you know, you use less barrels basically. But yeah, mate, that's.
And what sort of what barrel is that in?
Yeah, I think that one's a sherry. So on the back of the bottle, it should say you've
right.
tried a chicken scratch. It should be sherry or port. I think the first one you tried was a port. Now that I'm looking at it, and the second one, is a sherry barrel. So they're
but there's still a underlying consistency between they're similar.
There's a DNA.
There's a DNA in them, absolutely. But then the subtle change of the barrel, certainly.
Is it Pilsner? This one as well?
Yeah, it's the same. I kept the same 15 barrels at the start. After I went really, really crazy, which I'll go into a bit of detail with if you're interested. I had to taper it back. I really looked at a lot of our whiskies in that chefy approach because Mel and I, you know, chef and pastry chef, looking at the flavors that we can get with the spirits. And, I had to pull that back because our first releases are nowhere near what I can't go to market with our first release, actual first barrels. They're absolutely beautiful, but crazy.
I'll tell you a story. So barrel 1 at Craftworks is five years old. Was 5 years old, right?
Hear where this story's going?
Yeah, and just don't like it. We liked it at 2 years, and we had people try it, and they go, "Oh, bottle it now." And so it was the I Am flavor profile, which is a base and roasted malts, loosely based on a stout recipe to start with, in a bourbon cask, right?
Yep.
In a recoopered bourbon cask. And at the 2 year mark, it was like, yeah, it's interesting, but let's see how it develops. And every time we've tasted it since then, we go, nah. So 2 months ago, we decided we're going to recast it. Longer, actually. We're going to recast it. Not happy with it. And we've actually got another bourbon cask, which is a Jack Daniel's 150 year anniversary release cask. And that was a special cask. And that's I Am in a bourbon cask. And we don't like it. So our I Am profile does not work in bourbon casks. We now know that for fact. But what I did is I pulled it down, five years old, right? I pulled it down, and I had a little
brain fart.
No, it wasn't a brain fart.
It was from
I have them daily.
I had a 20 liter.
Half the people that work in the distillery thought it was a brain fart.
Yeah,
okay.
well, I hadn't thought it through. Anyway, it was a 20. It was a 20 liter cask that was just over 2 years old. It was sort of the last of my 20s. And I tasted it. I didn't know what to do with it. So I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll throw it in with the other one. So I took a 5 year whiskey
and turned it into a
2 year whiskey.
Oh, you fuckwit.
Could have at least started off as a billionaire making a airline.
Oh, God.
Anyway, it's great. We've recast it. What did I cast it into? I can't even remember now.
I don't know. I lost it after you.
We've got it written down somewhere.
I hope so.
Fuck, I hope so. Anyway, so my story is where did I go with this?
I don't know.
The mash bills. Our learnings are not. Your mash bills don't necessarily work with all types of barrels. And so barrel 1, which is 5 years, that's the start of it. We slaughtered it.
And you say we, you?
No, me. Yeah, I own up to it. Yeah.
So that has
the only good thing about that story is I was not in the shed the day it happened. So I'm in the good books of certain Mrs. Crafty.
Yeah. Right.
So that has a real pepperiness, a very long pepperiness on the finish. Like it's almost like a Szechuan pepper on the tip of your tongue. It lasts
Quite
a while.
fruity.
Mm,
Fruity pepper.
fruity pepper.
Yeah. Yep.
Like lots. So.
Thumbs
Like a
up.
lot. That's another thumb
That's,
up.
that's we only have one score. It's either that or that.
Yeah,
There's
that's
nothing in between.
Oh, well, you got to try number 33 now.
Yeah, we are. Let's go for
All
it, boys.
I'm gonna-
While you're getting your sample ready, I'll tell you a little bit about some of our barrels. It's ridiculous. So we've looked at. I'm trying to look at it more of a holistic approach, as in I keep the ABV low, but also going, okay, what do these grains impermeate at the end? And we boiled a whole heap of grains, and I'd eat them and all that kind of shit. And long and the short of it, I was like, I'm going to put rye in everything. I'm going to go 15% rye, and I'm going to a bit of chocolate malt. I'm going to go this. I'm going to go that.
Yep.
And a bit of biscuit malt, because I love the the biscuity kind of flavors you get from that from Stewie out at Voyager there.
Yep.
And it was absolutely beautiful. The new make was sensational. Like I was drinking that like it was going out of fashion, and Mel said, "You're an idiot. It's got to go in a barrel." And I'm like, "Nah, it's fine. Anyway, long and the short of it, put it into a barrel, and I actually use ex-Starwood barrels. Threw it in because I'm not on the flip side. So some of our first releases are actually fresh new barrels on first generation spirit barrels.
Right.
But everything else since then, I've actually taken that back and gone, I want to be second or third generation barrels, which is going to impede a little bit on our flavour, but I'm not much for those heavy tobacco notes, those heavy, those, cedar notes, the vanilla kind of cedary notes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pull that back and let the spirit talk a little bit more. But our first 7 barrels that we did, I've actually pulled a lot of that back and thrown that with, and this is, people are going to probably cast me down for this, but I actually mixed it with some of the spirit that they use for the Starwood twofold from an Ildra. Yeah. So I've actually mixed it with that, and I actually use that to season my barrels. So whilst I'm waiting until I've made the spirit, my barrels, I just buy the barrels in bulk. I buy 10 or 15 barrels at a time. And while I'm waiting for me to make the spirit and distill the spirit, it's aging. This spirit's just aging. And then when my spirit's ready, I just empty that shit out. That's my master stock. Yeah. I just kind of roll that through. So our first releases of whiskey they're never going to happen. They're pretty much just a master stock now for aging our or just kind of keeping our barrels wet, which could taste absolutely amazing in about 5 or 10 years. We're not really sure. I figure that's 5 or 10 years down the track.
So the master stock, so you're applying culinary techniques there. So your master stock, each time you're going from barrel to barrel, you're picking up difference and building complexity off the various barrels.
Correct, but that is then impermeating on the next barrel. So if I'm buying second or third generation bourbon barrels, which sometimes don't have a huge amount in them, this master stock's going to kind of coat them, flavor them a little bit, and then I'll just rip that out and then load my own stuff and cross my fingers.
Right. Let's bring down the cone of silence for a sec. Right?
Okay, no, it's
all right, so I'm just going to pause.
Yeah, it's all on pause.
I wouldn't tell anyone that technique. Shh, keep that one to yourself. Okay, cone of silence up.
Oh.
Well, that's impressive.
What you don't like it? It's I don't know. I just find it interesting. Like some.
No. What I'm saying is you've got
So the cone of silence coming down. He didn't hear what you said.
Oh, the cone of. So we brought the cone of silence down, so we're gonna have
no one else will know.
No one else would know.
No
one else would know apart from the 4 of us. And I said, don't tell anyone because fuck, that's a secret, right? Don't tell anyone. The joke is, you've told everyone. Just in case.
All 5 of us.
I was actually quite surprised. I went up to see Adam up at what's he called? He's in Queensland. Fucking hell, what's his name? Adam.
Adam Chapman.
Adam Chapman. So Mel and I went up to Queensland in January, first holiday we've had for quite a while. Yeah. And we popped in to see Adam, and we were just generally talking, and I said, "Oh, I've been starting to do this master stock," and he goes, "Oh, shut the front gate." I'm like, "I do that as well." I'm like, "It just makes sense. Like, it
does.
You can buy the shittiest barrel you want as long as it's within reason, and it just and then we're impermeating our own flavors and boosting it, and then 15 years time, that master stock is going to be what I'm going to drink.
It's if you take the concept, I pronounced it wrong, Praxit, which was banned in Scotland, which is basically, boiled up sherry, concentrated syrup, then pumped into barrels under pressure. And it was a Scottish technique to season barrels that came across from Spain. But it got banned because it was classed as an additive approach to making whiskey. Praxit, we played around with it, but not so much. But the concept of seasoning a barrel makes so much sense. And the master stock approach that you're talking about is sort of another level, because you're pulling out of each of the barrels something. So that'd be
also a good way to save barrels that you don't quite have enough spirit for.
Yeah, well, that's another way. Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah,
That is rich.
Oh, so what are we on? What is it?
So barrel 33.
33, which is XP third.
so so that is an ex bourbon barrel. So rye, Ian down at Gospel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bought a few barrels from him. I've actually bought a number of barrels from him. Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Haven't done anything to the barrels, literally just loaded my juice into them. So that spirit was in there for about 12 months. And then what we did is we moved from that into a brandy barrel, which was also super yum. And after that, it was 12 months in bourbon, about 12 months in a brandy barrel. And then after that, we've thrown it about 6 months in a Pedro barrel. And
just because it didn't have enough flavor already.
Yeah, I've been watching quite a few. Been watching quite a few YouTube things and a few random things about whiskey, and there seems to be that balance between having the sherry and the bourbon and the port or the brandy, kind of the three different stages, kind of kicking into a spirit. So we've been playing around with that at Imbue, and I'm really impressed with what's coming out. It is, it's different.
What's it? You've got a
very jammy,
very jammy, but it's got a toasted note in there, like what is it?
You're making me pour it out.
It's in the back. It's a toast. It's like a roasted malt. That's what it's like. But this is a Pilsner as well.
That's a Pilsner as well.
Jesus.
Wow.
So super simple. It's not so much about the grain. It's more about the technique that we've been messing with.
You're applying Armagnac, cognac techniques.
A little bit. Yeah.
My dad would go nuts over that.
Fuck me.
Yeah, so that's
his alley for like
jammy.
Can you make a bad whiskey?
Thank you. We do. That's my master stock.
Wow, that's a double thumbs up.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Thank you.
You're coming out of the blocks.
That's 3 for 3.
You're not fucking around.
No, we haven't been fucking around since we started, I don't think. But
that's awesome, mate. And I'm not pissing in your pocket. That is seriously awesome juice. All three of them. That's
Thank you. Have you
that's
tried?
That's not a just a straight Pilsner into a single cask and release at cask strength. And
no, that's
got a lot of complexity. I mean, if you gave that to someone and said, guess the age, you wouldn't. I don't know. It's not young.
It's still super juicy for that ABV as well.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
Put it down.
No, yeah.
Oops. I got it. I heard.
I missed it. Sorry, I was. What was the line?
That's what she said. Super juicy.
Oh, yes.
That is
Mm.
that's huge complexity at a low ABV. That's
Yeah.
we're learning something
Fantastic.
here. Yeah.
That's super easy to like. All of these, you can comfortably knock back a number of them.
Dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Now, I'm going to throw it out there. Did I give you one of our bourbons?
I think you did. This light one.
Yeah.
by look at
Yeah, give that a go. It does look like piss at the moment, but
it. Is
give
this
that a nudge.
It's the
very
bourbon, the
light.
piss-coloured one.
Yeah.
apparently.
Yeah, the piss-coloured one.
It pretty much is. It's sort of.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
It's slightly waterlogged.
While we're doing this, what comments have we got from our 5 people watching?
Finger bum. From
That had to be Lucas.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I got a funny story. I heard it today. So a man goes to the doctor, and he says, "Oh, I've got, my bum hurts. I'm not kind of like, I don't really know what's going on." The doctor says, "Okay, pull your strides down. Let's have a look." And the doctor goes, "Well, what am I looking at?" And he goes, "Well, near the entrance there." And the doctor says, "I'm going to stop you right there. While you're calling at the entrance, of course you're going to have pain." Sorry.
Yeah, that's that's just lowered the tone. I thought we did that on our own.
Oh boy!
Sorry.
No need to be sorry. No need to be sorry.
Right, let's try this
All right,
bourbon.
so we're trying barrel number 39, bourbon cask 56.6.
Right, so while he's doing that, tell us about Imbue. For those that don't know, tell us who you are, what you do, and where you're going.
All right. So Imbue Distillery is Mel and I. It's our brainchild. We started it in 2000. We had the concept in 2016. We started going through all the paperwork and all the bullshit in 17. And then we got tarted around by the councils. We launched officially middle 18-ish.
Yeah.
And we always set out not to. We sell a lot of gin. I'm not going to hide that.
No,
But for us, it's very important to not just be a gin distillery. We want to be a distillery. We want to mess around and play around with whatever. Someone gives us a bunch of peaches, we're going to play around with it. Someone gives us sugar, we're going to play around with it.
Yep.
We are not afraid with playing around with flavors. We're not afraid of foraging and using stuff that people say we shouldn't. There's 4 of us in the business now. So Mel and I started it, and due to poor planning and chef and baker's wage, we ran out of money after about, 8 months.
Yeah.
And good friends of ours, which have been helping us every weekend, came and bought into the business, Luke and Nikki.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. They were a lifesaver. That they gave us time. So when they bought into the business, we essentially bought time, and it was the best decision. We've been friends with these guys for over 20 years. Salt to the earth kind of guys, and we absolutely love. Oh, Mel's on the line. Mel, tell her she should join. What are you doing saying hi? Just join. And yeah, so they joined the business, and they all help Nikki, Luke, and Mel all keep me from making stupid decisions constantly. Because for me, I'm just like a bunny rabbit. I'm just going to try everything, give it all a go, and they keep me kind of grounded a little bit to make sure that I'm not making stupid decisions. We're based in research just out of Eltham, which is about 45 minutes north of Melbourne.
Right.
And we're in about 170 square metre distillery there. We ferment, distill, bottle, label, all that kind of crap on site. And we've just stupidly taken possession of a building next to us. And we're hoping to set that up as a cellar door, which is the hope.
Right.
But yeah, not afraid to play with anything. I've imported some blue agave from Mexico.
Yeah.
We've been playing around with the agave spirit because I had to, and that's been interesting. And yeah, bit of sugar. We did a bit of rum. I was given half a pallet of Muscovado sugar that was out of date. So I thought, well, I've got to ferment and distill that. So that was a bit of fun.
Shouldn't go out of date.
Yeah. It's just a stupid. archaic rule that everything has to have a use-by date, and this stuff, it's sugar, right? It's not going to go out of date. So this stuff was about 6 months out of date. Hello, darling.
Hi.
Hey, Mel.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
Hey.
Customers to serve, so I couldn't hop on at 8 o'clock. Apologies.
You missed the I Love Mel show.
Oh, God. I won't watch it back then, but thank you. We do stop him from doing crazy things. I will applaud that comment.
What's the craziest idea that he's had that you've
opening a distillery?
Yeah.
No, look, I can't fault it. Honestly, it's interesting working with your partner, and then we added friends, another couple, so even worse into the mix. It does get emotional sometimes, but we do balance each other out. We all have different strengths and weaknesses, and probably not afraid to tell each other.
That helps.
It sounds really familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Take it.
So, sorry, where did you say that the distillery was? I'm just looking at a map, and
Eltham.
Yeah, you need to Google Eltham, because if you Google research, it'll come up with, I don't know, God knows what the fuck that'll science experiments or something.
Oh, so because you've got the Wanderer North.
So that's the background that Mel's at the moment. That's a little cocktail bar.
Probably take you on a little tour of the tasting room.
So this is your cellar door, or is this actually a little
Well,
cocktail?
it's kind of our cocktail bar, cellar door, tasting room at the moment. It's not on site of the distillery, so it acts as all three, but a few suburbs away.
Yeah, right. So looking at the map, you've also got, well, you'd be just a short jump away from King Lake.
Correct. Yeah. So we've got Sam and Chantal out there.
Yeah.
Oh, me, well done on the names.
Yeah. I think we've got another road trip coming.
I can feel a road trip.
Yeah.
Guys, honestly, I felt a little bit scarred. I mean, you went up to see Bree and Lee, but you didn't want to come 3 hours further down the road to see us. I was a little bit like, God, these guys are a bit hard.
3 hours.
That trip was, we left on the Friday afternoon, and we came back on the Tuesday night. It was go, go, go the whole time. We had so much fun. We learnt so much. I picked up, I haven't bought it yet, I'm going to, 1,000-litre fermenter tank and a couple of receivers from Yak Creek in Yakandanda. That was just awesome. And we spent time at Coro. We spent the day at the cooperage, Murray River Cooperage.
Yeah,
Get your ass up there. It's well worth it. The stuff they're doing there is just next level, isn't it? It's
It's a good trip.
and the funny thing is, John is he's a master cooper. Andrew Young's a master cooper. Fuck, you put those two together, it's hard to tell the difference. Personalities, they're both larger than life.
There's a height disparity.
There is a height disparity and a width disparity.
Young will take it personally.
But it was so cool. Just salt of the earth, open book, and it just reminded me of Youngie so much. So, which was so cool. But no, we're going to do another road trip for sure.
Maybe I'll come on that one.
Yeah, you need to come on that one for sure. We'll take Aussie Craft Distillers shooting the shit on the road.
Get a bigger bus.
Tax
We need a
deductible.
bigger bus.
I'm sure I'm gonna throw it out there. Stay at Luke and Nikki's house. They got a couple of spare rooms. I'd say stay at our house, but fuck no, that's too small.
I was going to say, we thought you had a 5-bedroom house and we just weren't invited.
Yeah, no.
We have plenty of booze, though. Plenty of booze.
Plenty of booze.
You need
One of our bedrooms is so small that I can literally touch all 4 walls as I reach out. So no, that's not going to happen.
Makes for an interesting night, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh.
It just Mel,
So
you missed out. You haven't seen my look. Here they are.
You're in your jammies.
I was worried
Amazing.
about what he was going to show us just there.
Me too.
Just used to it.
I would have had to put,
and all that.
I would have had to put an iTunes warning on that one.
Yeah,
Hey, he's gone red. Look at him. He's gone red. Nick's gone red. I love it.
Sorry.
so don't go into his face. It's all right.
Tell us about the bourbon cast.
Yeah. So we're on the bourbon cast now.
All right. So the bourbon, is it the bourbon cast or the bourbon? What do we got?
Bourbon,
What do you got? Which
sorry.
barrel?
Barrel
it's
number
the-
39.
It's the piss one.
Barrel bourbon, that
The
one.
piss look.
Okay, so the barrel bourbon. So that's corn. So 55% corn, and we've gone 45% Pilsner on that one. So that's quite different. It's more of an American style. Gone in ex-gospel Solera barrels once again, and also mixed that with some of the Starwood.
Is it malted corn?
Yes.
Malted corn. So malted corn's softer than corn.
Yeah,
is it?
it's difficult to work with. We tried working with. We had a bit of a play originally with a down at Golden Hills, and Steve down there. Steve down there was super nice because his mash tun's much bigger than ours. And I swear at the end of it, I'm pretty sure he was going to throw my head into a fermenter and cut me off at the knees. But that's fine.
What was the trouble that you had working with it?
Corn, if you don't, it's just sticky shit. If you don't sparge at the right temperature, it's going to clag up at the bottom. It's really, really difficult to deal with, but the results are quite interesting.
No, clagging up at the bottom, we even managed to do that with.
You managed to gunk up the bottom of your mash tun even without corn in there.
That's what she said.
That's really interesting. Sorry, I'm deep in deep in mode here.
This Cordy's ignoring us.
Yeah,
So hopefully we'll go
it does
away.
work sometimes.
So I get vanilla and green apple and mint and
I get green apple.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
bit of meat, mint,
Green apple mint. I get mint.
of course
It's like
vanilla.
that.
It's not like, what was the percentage of the corn again?
55%. So that's sitting at the moment at about 59% ABV as well. So that's a higher alcohol than we've ever gone in a barrel.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. You can tell it's higher, but it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are coming out of the starting blocks, and it's like you're the new guy at the athletic track, and everyone's looking at the new guy, and you're just going to take off, and everyone's going to look and go, "Fuck, what happened there? Where did they come from?"
How do I catch up with that?
Yeah.
That must be nice to hear, Mick. Mick's been really stressing about releasing the whiskey and not feeling ready and just really unsure. So it's this sort of feedback, doing things like this is really beneficial.
Well,
Can I give you some advice?
Be
Yes.
yourself.
Be yourself, but also for me personally, if I'm in the wrong mental state, I cannot taste whiskey. So if I take a dip for whatever reason, I'm off the tasting panel because everything
It's
tastes
hard.
like shit.
Yeah.
I just walk around tasting and go, that's shit and that shit and that shit and that shit. So and the other thing is
What you need to do is you need to grow one of these because then you can. It's a contemplation thinger.
it is, isn't it?
I've got some fuzz, but
We don't need to know.
So he'd be doing this though.
yeah.
It's very patchy, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So,
When we did the first release, we pulled together a panel of 10 people, no distillers,
the assembled.
the assembled. Yeah, they're called the assembled. We need to assemble the assemble again.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sure they're all still there waiting for the
yeah,
next
I'm
one.
sure. And they're people in the industry and outside the industry. And because our first release was a vatting of 3 types of barrels, and the feedback we got from the tasting panel was really, really good. And we used it on the second one, which was IM2.
We even listen to them occasionally.
We did, particularly IM2, because I road tested it and I was getting good feedback, but there was something not quite right with it. And the panel came back and they were 50-50 down the line. 50 said, this is great. And 50% went, we think it needs more work. So, my advice is assemble a panel and just road test them
Try and
blind.
find ones that you know are going to give you an open and honest opinion.
Yep.
Whether you want to hear it or not.
Yep. And winemakers are cool for that.
Yeah,
We are live on the internet, but these are great.
They are great. Serious.
All of them are great.
Mm.
And I typically don't like a corn spirit.
No, I don't. It's normally sweet.
Yeah, but that's
That's
very, very
interesting.
nice.
Isn't it?
It's
Not your
it's
normal
interesting. And
flavors for bourbon.
there's the one over in Perth that do
Upshot.
Upshot.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Upshot, and I was over there and I had I went to the
Distillery.
distillery there, and I was like, yeah, I get it, but it's not my taste. But that's quite nice. I will take a bottle of that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
You're doing well.
yeah, and thank you
Mm.
for letting us do this because it's the first time we've done anything like this.
Yeah.
For
everybody out there watching, all 5 of you.
six. Because we've got 12 on now, we've got 6.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
We pick up on YouTube, don't worry, and
we-
podcast
after
later.
the fact.
Yeah.
We'll happily critique your juice. Not a
Again,
problem at all.
and again.
Yeah. Just send it over. Hit us up on Messenger, and I'll give you my address.
We'll bring a van down when we do the road trip.
Sounds like you're gonna need it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need a bloody driver, I reckon.
Oh, we have a driver.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Yep.
not this time. Nah,
So
screw that. Oh, I got to try your brandy.
Oh
What
yeah,
do we got?
yeah, got to try the brandy. So we'll tell you the story behind the brandy.
all right.
Is Yarra Valley Pinot wine. So we're actually given some wine from a very, very good sommelier who didn't like the wine. He said it just dropped off in colour, so for him it wasn't where it should have been. We distilled that, and with all the sulphurs and everything in wine, what we did is we just gently distilled it, and we've kept that at cask strength. So that's sitting at 54% at the moment. It is quite big for a brandy, but we're absolutely sick to death of people. Not sick to death. It's the wrong kind of like term. A lot of people attribute a brandy as grandma's drink.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think there's as much complexity and as much fun in a brandy as a decent whiskey.
Yeah, look at the
There you
label.
go. Now showing the label.
Look at the label, guys.
Oh, that's
Oh,
great.
that's awesome.
It's called Cut the Tux.
That's
and
good.
it's trying to let's bring a new Aussie brandy to the market that isn't just for grandma's fruit pudding and tuxedo gentlemen with cigars. So
Yeah,
it's got enough dimension to be a beautiful
the image.
sipping.
off the website. Sorry, Mel, I didn't mean to cut you. We're just going to
No,
bring up the image, put it on the screen so everyone can see it. I remember when I first saw the design, I went, "Yeah, that's so you guys." It's very cool.
We worked with a new designer on these. We're working with a different person on the aged spirits, and it's funny because they were presented to us a few options, and we went for the least safe option. And he knew we would. Like he could tell that this is what we're about. So, yeah.
We
You're-
don't take the safe.
This is cool. So you got food background. So you appreciate the nuances of ingredients in that, but there's also an artistic flair which resonates with us big time. The artistic element is to me, it's a very important part of the way that we're making our products because it just reinforces the stories.
Absolutely.
And just art for art's sake. Yeah, that's cool.
Well,
That's really
I'm gonna mute you guys for a sec. I'll be back in a moment.
no worries.
So
why can
so
I'm gonna,
while Mel's on mute, so Mel actually did her master's honors. Fuck, she's gonna kill me. I think it was her master's in fine arts. And yeah, so she's a really, really accomplished artist, and she realized after we got together that artists typically don't make any money, and so she decided to do a chef's apprenticeship, and she won. I'm just going to blow some smoke again because it's all about Mel, but she actually won Apprentice of the Year a few years ago, about 10 years ago, and got to do a stage in Paris as Australia's Apprentice of the Year in a 3 Michelin star restaurant in Paris. So
Wow.
Terry Martin in Paris. So Mel's palate up until COVID was amazing, and we do not release a product without Mel's palate.
Right.
But, COVID kind of fucked that right up, and she managed to lose her taste buds. And I was just like, holy shit, I can't do this.
Has she recovered for her palate?
Yeah, she has slowly. So she's been working on it, and she's actually recently done the WSET course.
I'm back. Yeah, can you stop talking about me, Mick?
Oh, we love you, Mel. We love you.
No, I'm just talking about the WSET course that you did and your palate.
Yeah, look, I don't know if I passed yet, so we won't spruik it too much. But I was interestingly one of the massive things I got out of that was learning how much tasting is dependent on whether you're hydrated.
Yeah.
So,
I think you're going to say ice.
No, that was back in the art school days. Not do that anymore. Yeah, like the days that I made sure I was really well hydrated before doing the tastings, I found it so much easier.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
apparently
put that
like
into
3
that.
liters. Because so
Put
much
that
of it is the aroma compounds and it's from your nose. It's it's all affected if you're dehydrated.
Right.
So
Yeah,
don't
so you
do it
can-
after milling all day.
What is that?
That's right. You're onto the backwards now, okay?
It's Lee's. It's Lee's.
Lee's,
He's gonna.
Lucky he's not on.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lee. He's on.
Oh, he is on.
That
So-
guy.
I don't know anything about brandy,
But this is really nice.
but that's very nice.
I haven't tasted it yet. I'm just nosing it.
Oh.
I keep going back to the nose. And
Nosing it, as soon as you nose it, you can go, oh, yeah, this is brandy.
Nick, I don't know if you actually said, but so we aged it in the Pinot Noir barrels.
No, I didn't. I got caught off on
Yeah,
something
got
talking about Mel, I think.
He got caught up in fanboying Mel.
you guys want a room?
Yeah, that's it. We're going to have to release this one as a Mills and Boone series.
Is there one halfway between where you both are right now? Because I think you both need it. Oh, that's so 90s.
That's so 90s. Shut up.
So 90s, yeah.
That's an in joke. You're in trouble.
No, it's just going to be like 20, 60. I might get it for my, what is
No, let's leave
what
it
is
at
your
that.
70th wedding anniversary?
Okay, so this is brandy.
Yeah.
Wow, this is me trying to pull things back, guys. Take note.
Good.
Wow.
You opened up that cat.
Cat.
What? How the fuck do you open
What
up?
the fuck is
that?
the cat?
Seriously, we're
Sorry.
not pissed. We've had bugger all
No.
alcohol, but how do you open up a
I
cat?
don't know. We'll try it on.
Can you throw Todd under the bus?
I can't find that now.
Oh.
No, don't bother. I threw myself under the bus just there,
I
right?
was about to say,
Can we remember that line?
why is your pussy open? I don't understand.
No. When things are going really bad in life, you just go, oh, fucking open up the cat.
Poor cat.
It was terrible, Telly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, this is a very serious thing, right? Our sponsors are going to kill us.
Lucky we don't have any yet.
I don't know. There was a whole list of them on the website. I was quite impressed.
We do have sponsors. We just don't know if we've got them all back.
No,
Back to the brandy.
I haven't
Back to
built
the
them yet.
brandy. I need some more of the brandy. I'm intrigued by the brandy.
Mm.
This is not like any brandy I've tasted before.
No, it's not like the, what is it, St. Agnew's or something.
It's an argue.
Argue, yeah.
And it's different to Holly's brandy.
Yeah, so Holly and I, we need to catch up with Holly because apparently she needs to try her brandy.
Have you seen? She's over in Cognac and
yeah.
Armagnac.
Yes, I've been
Have you-
following her journey. It's
Oh,
incredible.
the amount of information that she's pulling.
Yeah.
I wish there was an Instagram because I could do a cut and paste and put it in a document, but you can't on fucking Instagram.
You-
So I'm
You'll
gonna
just
talk
have to
to Ollie when she comes
screenshot
back.
everything.
Say again?
You'll have to screenshot everything.
Oh, the amount of information she's sharing, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's really deep dive stuff, and it's really great.
I think it's awesome. Like if they could pick anyone to do that, to get that scholarship, it's pretty awesome that it was Holly, because she's very, very good at what she does, and she's a good advocate for the ADA as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, agree. Wow. Okay, I'm that's a
enjoying that.
that's a thumb.
I'm actually enjoying that one.
Yeah, no.
Oh, we're getting a double
Yeah,
thumb.
double thumb. Yep.
Shit.
I'm not a massive fan of brandy myself.
It's not shit at all. It's really quite good.
Yeah. So our score, Mel, is either that. Oh, hang on, that or that. There's nothing in between.
Oh wow. Okay.
There
There
have
we go.
not been any of those.
There's been none of
Oh,
those.
cool. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, doing really well.
And you're doing it
Not that,
live.
look, not that it would be a problem if there is. Like, not everything can be for everyone.
I know.
So, you
No,
know.
that's what I say to people. If everyone made the same whiskey, it'd be bloody boring.
That's right.
It's the diversity of flavors. That's what's exciting.
And actually, I think that my sense of people with the brandy is that it's too strong, it's too big, it's too bold. But we actually tried cutting it back a bit, and it just lost all of its integrity. It was like, nah, it wants to be big and bold, and it's proud of it. And if you don't like it, that's cool. It's not your drink.
But no, it's lovely.
Just
Oh,
open your mouth wide.
just stop
and
it.
just take it in. I'm getting pastry.
Get over the cat with this.
I get Mel pulled me over the coals. I'm like, I get strawberry, and Mel's like, there's no fucking strawberry there. I'm like, I get strawberry.
Hey, you just said it when I was in the thick of WZ, all right? Like it was.
You can't
getting
say
pastry.
it's vanilla.
I'm getting pastry and vanilla. You said vanilla. I'm getting pastry.
Is
You
anyone
get
getting strawberry? Am I?
You're still getting strawberry. Get over it. Move on. Mick, move on. Do you get pastry, Mel?
Yeah, like that really deeply caramelized pastry where you're like, is it right on the edge, but it's actually perfect. That
It's
really...
like a tartan. It's
Yeah.
it's there, but it's-
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Mm.
Like, if you serve that to a whiskey drinker, I don't think you would fuck with their mind too much, to be honest.
We have actually. I've sold it. So we do a lot of farmers markets, and I've sold more brandy to whiskey drinkers, and they just taste it and like, holy shit, that is just so different from what I've been drinking lately. And you know, we've had a bit of backlash on the price. So for us, we've done it at $98 a bottle, which I think is quite reasonable. But for us, I don't want to sit on it. I want to be able to sell it and get people to try our juice.
What's the bottle? Is it 500 or 700?
Seven.
For 98 bucks, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's more than reasonable.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super reasonable.
Yeah.
Seriously, I want
Yeah.
to play with that price.
But we've, released two. So release one was about 700 bottles. Release two, we're looking at about 1,600 bottles.
Oh, wow.
It's not going to be $98 a bottle. I can tell you that right now.
That's a whiskey lover's brandy.
Mm.
That is an absolute whiskey lover's brandy.
My dad loves it with ginger ale, and I'm like, but I tried it the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I can't argue that. It's
No,
actually
you know what?
really good.
I was drinking it at Christmas with the long raised dark soda.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
about to
just
say.
gonna say it.
Phenomenal. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
That
Yeah.
goes with almost everything,
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
We
doesn't
need to
it?
get some more of that. Or get
Yeah,
some.
I've run out.
Yeah. No,
Look,
but
it's even enjoyable on its own, but why would you do that?
Need them as a sponsor
'Cause
so
it's
they
good.
send us free samples.
Yeah,
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
Yeah, just contact
good
me.
idea. That's a good idea, actually.
Sponsor,
Yeah, I'll give them a ring. Yeah, no, dark soda. That would be
Pay us some
wicked.
soda.
What?
That works.
They can pay us some soda.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
How much have we got in the bank right now?
no, not much.
We've
Probably more than
put it
that.
all on coasters. So
We got $12.
Damn fucking good coasters, if I do say
yeah,
so
we
myself.
got about 3,000 of the fuckers, but
No, we're not getting 5,000.
was it 5? Oh,
Well,
Jesus.
all up.
Every time I have an order, I put in like 10 coasters.
Because everyone needs fucking 10 coasters.
We
with our face on it.
That is.
I turned up to an event a couple of weeks ago, and one of the people running it said, "You don't have any of those bloody coasters with you, do you?"
You did.
And I said, "It just so happens." Oh, damn! Because apparently they end up like toilet paper everywhere.
That's. You remember the ADA conference last year?
Yeah.
So we had our coasters, and at the whiskey show, as people came into the whiskey show, Kathy was standing at the door and going, "Do you like podcasts?" And people go, "Yeah." And I was like, "Boom, have a coaster."
You can have a coaster.
You can have a coaster. You can have a coaster. And then my claim to fame was at the dinner. So you know the collaboration project to commemorate the 30 odd years or whatever it was.
I so wish I'd entered some of our spirit into that. I was just like going, oh fuck, I wanted to do it, and then Mel's just like, nah, and I'm like, nah.
It was very cool, but cone of silence.
Yeah, the cone of silence.
Just don't go there.
No. It was very cool, but there was a bit of controversy over the packaging, which was a lark bottle. But anyway, so I went around the head table that had the two presenters, the radio stars. I can't remember their names.
Num Nums and Puff Nuts.
Mick Malloy and no, it wasn't Mick Malloy, was it?
No, it was.
It was.
No, it wasn't Mick Malloy. It was, Hamish.
Yeah, Hamish and Andy.
Blake, and no, it wasn't Andy.
Wasn't Andy?
No, it was
Hamish, and it was some
other dude who's apparently quite famous, but none of us know.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on from the story. So I went around the main table, and I opened up every one of the lark boxes, and I put coasters.
That's awesome.
And there were some pretty important people on that table.
The funniest thing about that is how many were left at the tables at the end.
Yeah, we should have just picked them up.
I'm sure we came home with a handful of coasters.
Yeah. I probably put a couple through the wash, but I didn't throw up on the way home, so that means I didn't drink enough.
There's your problem.
So you're going this year, aren't you?
Yes, Mel and I are both going to the conference, and I think we're all four of us are going to the gala.
Oh yeah, cool, excellent, yeah.
Gala, that's an event.
And look, if you guys need a place to stay, I'm sure Luke and Nicky will.
No, we're good. So we're dragging down Marty Pie. He's coming down. If he gets grumpy, which he is the grumpy old man on the hill.
Some point in the night it's going to happen.
Yeah, at some stage he's gonna get the shits with someone and crack it, and then he'll just take off and go back to the apartment. So we booked an apartment close by. We're staying down at where are we staying? The Docklands. Yeah, somewhere in the Docklands. And we're actually doing the overnight train from Sydney, which is such a cool way to travel.
Oh, it's fucking awful.
No, the sleeper. I love it. Absolutely love it. It's first class sleeper. I love it. So I did it last year. You arrive at 6 a.m, come out of the station, you're in Melbourne. So Todd and I are doing it.
Saying those 100 ml bottles are perfect travel size. You can refill them if you need.
Refill these and make the trip a lot quicker.
Yeah. Might not wake up in the middle of the night when they pull into a station and the whole thing. Actually, no. There was one point I'm sure you were going around a corner because I was hanging off the side of the bed.
You can have the top bunk.
It's only an issue if you wake up and your fly's open.
So while these two are
let's not do that. All right, what time is it? We've been crapping on for quite some time.
We have.
I have no idea.
What is?
It's 1:15. We've hit the hour mark.
Oh, only just. Yeah, we'll keep going for a bit. Yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've covered who you are, how you met.
Is this our third question that we've asked him?
I think it's only the third.
This is like bloody Ned Gahan from Waterford. We went for 2 hours. I think we asked him 3 questions. So what gives you the shits about the industry?
You know what? Honest, I can answer this fucking wholeheartedly. So what gives me the shits, and I'm gonna get some fucking flashback off a few people tomorrow if they watch it, but we really struggled when we set up to open up in an industrial 3 area. We got absolutely fucking castrated, and now there's arseholes in the industry, and not all arseholes is the wrong word, but councils are allowing distilleries to open up in people's houses, and that really gives me the shits. It's just like
a registered home business.
a registered home business. It is not a registered home business industry. It shouldn't be. It should never be. We've never blown up. We don't plan on blowing up, but I can only imagine if one of these peanuts blows themselves up. I went to a distillery at a house a few months ago, and it was at a beautiful house, and it was in his office. He had a 250-litre still as a registered distillery, and he had 200 litres of Manildra sitting in the background. His family was above him, and I'm just thinking, you know what?
Yeah,
This is just issues 100%. And I just, they get producers' licenses operating out of a house. I do not have a problem, and I'm throwing it out there to be completely transparent. I do not have a problem if you're on a country property over 1,000 square meters where you're operating a distillery and you've got a warehouse or a shed. Yeah. I have a massive problem if you're in a domestic block of 600 or 500 square meters, anything domestic, and you're connected to the house, under the house, around the house.
What it all comes back to is how unregulated the industry is in Australia, and that councils have no idea what it is that you're actually asking to do. So some say, yep, sure, no problem. That's like baking some cookies. And others go, holy shit, you're going to blow up the entire world. You can never do this. We need to find somewhere in between. And
some commonality.
Exactly. And I understand that, nowhere in Australia does anything the same, whether that be on a state, a suburb, a municipality level. But we need to find some common ground, because that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
We're all struggling with these, unregulations.
Yeah, I've just found out just recently. So in my LGA, they've in the what do they call it? The
EPA.
The Environment Planning Act, whatever it is for the region. So distilleries, craft distilleries, are now designated as light industry, which is a new classification. Now I'm zoned in village.
Yep.
And under village, what's permissible is agricultural based industries and alcohol wineries. So I got through on the basis that I'm producing alcohol and I'm working with grain, and that's fine. But if I move to another place, I automatically come under light industry, which could be problematic. So we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to throw one out to you, because this is one that gives me the shits. And I've been quite vocal about it lately, right? If an organization buys new make spirit, right, from a third party and takes it away and sticks it in a barrel and releases it after 2 years as a whiskey, they are an independent bottler, or they are a whiskey brand. They are not a distillery, and they cannot claim the status of distillery.
No.
And we are going to see this more and more, where people walk the edge. And they also use the term single malt when it's under 2 years. And so there's one particular company, I won't name names, and they're releasing product.
Sure.
Lee, what was that? I can't mention it. I'm sorry, Lee. No, get off. Go. Yeah. Anyway,
it's not about you today.
No, I know. But they're releasing their product as single malt, right? They're not saying single malt whiskey, but all their hashtags and everything are single malt whiskey, Australian whiskey, da 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 da. That's deceptive practice. That's
It
deliberate
is.
deceptive
Yeah.
practice, and that needs to be called out.
I think there's a massive grey area in Australian distilleries, and for me, I really want some more transparency. And as I said, we've got our master stock that we do with our barrels that are, with our first whiskies that we're not that happy with. That's fine, but I don't see a problem with that, because whether or not we do or don't release that at some point to the public, that's a tomorrow me problem. That's not a right now me problem. But I do see a massive problem. I'd love to see some transparency on labels, if it's contract distillery, if it's made in house.
It's something we've discussed. Something we've discussed at length.
Yeah. I'm hoping, and I think it will come up at the ADA conference. This whole thing about transparency, and one of the things that here we go. One of the things that I get myself in the big poo.
One of the
one of the big poos is there's various ways to make whiskey, and one of the ways is to source new make. At one end of the spectrum, from a brewery, one end of the spectrum, you basically take a generic beer wash off a brewery. You got no say, no control. You just buy it. It is what it is, right? At the other end of the spectrum, you have where you're actually heavily involved in the mash bill, and you may actually even be on premise and helping with the process, but you've got total control of your recipe, right? And that's in-house, that's sourcing. No one has an issue, I don't believe, with sourcing. No problem, right? It's a legitimate way to make whiskey, to buy in a wash and distill it. But surely, I'm going to get myself in big poo. Surely, if we're all banging on about transparency, should there not be some reference that it's come from a brewery, the base spirit, or something along those lines, just from an origin standpoint of, we're talking about transparency, we're talking about materials that we use, right? Yeah, my wash was brewed at Bright Brewery, for example.
I don't think there's much transparency in Australian food labeling at all. Like, I don't think it's just on alcohol. I think there's a lot of talk about, the artificial colours and preservatives and shit that we're still using in Australia that other countries are banned and that don't have to be declared. It's bizarre though, because of all the pregnancy warnings that we now have to use. That's so detailed and that's so specific, and the size and the color and yet there's no transparency of where the product is made and what it's made from.
No, and if you have a look at Tasmanian distilleries, I reckon honestly, every time I've gone down there and spoken to any of the guys down there that are making stuff, 60% at a guess, maybe even 70%, are not doing their own wash. And I know Dan Woolley to have an absolute fucking conniption. Does it affect the product? I think a lot of making a whiskey to me is running it through the still and cutting it at the right point. That's an absolute huge thing. Have we, and I don't hide the fact we've done some of our first whiskies off site. We did similar to what you did, Crafty, independent bottling, similar, independent casks. So we had a brewery make it, and then before, because our still was 175 litres up until Burnsy hooked us up with a big ass fucking still last year. We did most of our whiskey out at Alchemy. Right. And the guys out there, they've got 1,000 litre still. So for me, I can spend a couple of weeks and make some decent quality whiskey. I'm making the whiskey.
Yep.
I'm not doing it on my own equipment. And for me, that's my whiskey. Like, I'm making that whiskey. Because my still is 175. The difference is
you're heavily involved in the mash process.
Actually, you're making it.
Yes.
You're doing the whole process. Whether you're doing it on your own gear or not.
Now, I want to know, because I know, Crafty, on the ADA, you wouldn't discuss gin in this context. But
I did it on purpose. I just wanted to focus on my fucking whiskey question. But yes, go, Mel.
I understand the focus, but I wonder, so I don't know what Mick discussed earlier, but when we started...
It's all about Mel.
dead
Yeah.
set.
We-
I'm
we
gonna ignore
love
you.
Mel.
The first 45 minutes really was just all about you.
We love Mel. Anyway, carry on.
Right.
That's a nice
So
red.
this is dead set against buying in neutral. Like,
Say that again.
he was not going. We were not going to buy neutral in for our gin. He was absolutely dead set against it.
Right.
And after a bit of trial and error and realizing we actually couldn't make the product that we wanted to if we were making our own base spirit, we decided to buy in. But there's quite a few people that are very against that process, and it's they consider it that it's not gin if you're not making your base spirit. So what are your views on that?
Okay, so my views on it is to make gin or to make a vodka, it's got to be a clean base spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's only a certain bit of gear that can make it that clean, right? So you either spend a fuck ton of money, right, and get one hell of a massive column still, right? Or you purchase it from a plant that can make it clean as. Someone explained something to me and it's really resonated. Base spirits, neutral spirits are all different, whether it's grain base, grape base, sorry, I always get this wrong. Grain base, cane base, or grape base, right?
Yeah.
There's nuances of flavor, right?
Absolutely.
And your base spirit is not just a white palette like a canvas. Canvases are all different types of texture and looks, right? So you build your foundational for your base spirit, but then it's all about your botanicals and how you get your flavor, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong, in my own opinion, in sourcing neutral, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. And if anyone's getting pinged on their base spirit, it's like, honestly, fuck off, right?
So we're very transparent in telling people that we obviously buy in. We use Tarak and we used to use Mildura and we swapped to grape, and we're really happy with how that works with our gins, etc. But I guess turning the argument to the whiskey, the whiskey side of the discussion we've been having, how do you feel about then people saying, well, that should be declared on the bottle? Like, should it? Should we have this transparency across the different products?
Okay, that's a really good question.
She's good.
She's good. Can we throw Todd under the bus?
There is,
I know what you're saying, Mel. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, and you're right.
Artisan Distillers Guild in Australia, and you are not allowed to be a part of that unless you make your own base spirit. And they are very high and mighty about, I guess, the onslaught of newer distilleries that are not. So I just find it interesting.
I find the difference is with a whiskey, with a new make spirit, a whiskey new make, you have the ability to make that, right, with the gear that you've got, with a pot still, right, or a pot column or whatever.
And you are looking for a lot of those flavors from the yeast, from the brewing process,
Correct.
From
Absolutely.
the grain itself. Whereas with the neutral, you are looking for
a cleaner spirit as possible.
That's it, which is
has some nuances. So
you also run it through a still to add the.
You do run
it through absolutely.
To run
so as a gin distiller, it's more restrictive in that sense. Whereas a whiskey, you can control everything, but in gin, you can't necessarily control everything. So again,
I don't think they can be compared.
No,
really,
I don't think you can compare them. But
look, not a strict comparison, but just I think it's an interesting question for where we are as an industry and how it how the transparency and labeling affects, the regulations that we might have coming into play.
But overriding all this, and I've had this discussion with numerous distillers,
Don't ask any of that at KPT, Rosemary, please. Clean is not our thing.
Our competitive strength in Australia is our ability to innovate, and we're not an overly restrictive industry. So we can go nuts. You want to go into a fucking Tabasco wasabi barrel first fill you can.
Oh, fuck, that sounds
I'd
awesome.
actually
Yeah,
love
we'll
to
give
go
it a
into a Tabasco barrel.
Tabasco
It's
barrel.
really hard to
Wow.
find.
It's been done
Bring it
before.
on.
It wasn't very successful either.
Oh.
So that's our competitive edge. So we don't want a lot of restrictions imposed on us. So it's striking the balance, right? It's striking the balance. But I do think the whole transparency thing is fundamental to our success going forward, because if we don't, we're exposed and we will get picked off. And you know, the bigger operators, the international operators that are looking at what's going on in Australia, and there's chinks in our armor that we're going, oh, we're transparent, and we're not, we'll get slaughtered.
I would love to see on a bottle distilled at. Like, I think it just has to be as simple as that, and that will kind of clean it right up. So if, you know, I went out to Ostra.
Yeah.
Ostra. So, you know, the guys out there are absolutely amazing. Their equipment, Dave out there, his equipment's crazy.
Yeah.
And he distills a lot of really, really nice juice. And the speed that he can distill is insane. Like, hats off to him. This guy, I've never known anyone to take the risks that guy does. But whether it's Dave or whether it's Tarak or whether it's Manildra or anyone else that does any major contract distilling, I'd love to see on a label the fact that, you know, where it's made. So, you know, Gypsy Hub in Melbourne, Collingwood, they produce a lot of stuff for a lot of people. I'd love that to be on a label and just go produced at that address, distilled, and more so distilled at that address for that clarity.
Yes, the only legality of having an address on your label that links back to the owner. I mean, it could be a friggin' PO box, can be an office. Well, actually, I don't think it can be. It can be an office, though. They're like, people use their lawyer's office. That doesn't tell you anything about.
Doesn't tell you anything.
Anything, yeah.
No, but if you have to break it down to that kind of nuance of distilled at, it's distilled at Craftworks, it's distilled at Imbue, it's distilled at wherever. People can't lie. They can't see through that. And whether they see that on the shelves on Dan Murphy's or wherever else, the people that know will know. The people that don't won't give a shit or they won't care. But the ones in the industry like us who are trying to kind of build and build our own brand and kind of create something good, and it really, for me, it pisses me off when I you know, you see a lot of craft distillers out there and they say, I'm a craft distiller. And it's like, yeah, you're really, really not, because you're getting it made somewhere else and you've just got deep pockets and you're not actually doing anything. You haven't gone through that hard sweat and tears that
Look, let's not. We won't slag off all contract distillers.
No, not at all. That's not what it's
There's
about.
varying levels of engagement, but I think
Yeah.
what you're talking about is the people that just are paying for a service with no engagement, Mick.
Well, it's the way I describe it
exactly
is Jimmy Fu and Leslie Miller, solicitors. They go, hey, fuck, we can go and buy some neutral spirit. Let's put it in a barrel and let's sell it in a couple of years. And let's call ourselves a distillery, right? Let's call ourselves a distillery. That pisses me off.
Yeah.
Right? You are an independent bottler or you are a whiskey brand. You can't say you're a distillery
If you're not distilling.
if you're not a distillery. And there has been cases in Australia, and I'm not going to name names, but there's been one that's been going for fucking years and years and years and years and years, calling themselves a distillery, and they're not.
Didn't they just change their name?
Say it again.
Didn't they change their name recently?
Let's talk the cone of science. No, we're not going to go down there. But
We'll wait until we're off air.
what I was going to say,
And then tell you when I get home, Mick.
when we wrap up. So I had a conversation with Dave at Ostra 7 years ago. I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. And Dave had this vision, and I reckon he's absolutely on the money. And he's been quiet in the background, but he's got as you know, a gigantic operation, right?
Amazing setup.
And making some really good juice. But he said he believed the future for Australia was blended whiskies. And so he wanted to be the base spirit provider and working with distilleries around Australia to source malt or work with them in collaboration, whatever, and establish a blended whiskey, Australian whiskey. And I think he's absolutely on the money, still on the money. That is going to happen in Australia. I mean, David Starwood with his twofold, it's fucking genius. It's absolutely genius, right?
Where does blending fit within your distilling or not distilling?
Great question.
Transparency.
Transparency.
Yeah. Transparency. So, for example, if it's an Austria base,
Johnny Walker doesn't say what they're blended with.
No. So why should we in Australia? Yeah. Good point. I just think it's so important. And if you're sourcing Austria and you're blending it with your malt, or Tarek and blending it with your malt, what is wrong with saying that, right? It's what I personally feel, and I get myself in the poo, but I know there's others that feel strongly about this as well. But the overriding thing in all this is we don't want restrictions, we don't want a lot of complexity, because it'll stifle our innovation and our ability to do things that they can't do in America, they can't do in Japan, they can't do in Scotland.
So that's one side of the business. The other side is we don't want all the work that people put into producing their spirit being taken away by someone who's taking a shortcut.
Yeah, like Leslie and whatever I said,
Leslie and Fu Wong.
Fu Wong, It's like, well, why the fuck would you go down the road of having a distillery? Why would you just not go and buy and source?
Yeah.
So,
I kind of like it, there's this real grey area, right? And you look at Ned's, right? So hats off to Ned's. What they're doing is they're trying to really ruffle up that Johnny Walker Red kind of comparison and make it locally. I don't have a problem with that. I think the more that we can build and supply local, I think the better it is for the industry, the more employment there is for the industry. There's always going to be that discrepancy between, I'm going to use a bakery kind of quote, there's always going to be that discrepancy between the supermarket bakery and the Philippa's, the brasserie kind of style of bakeries, those are real artisan bakeries. There's always a customer for every focus, and whether we just need to be clear as day what our focus is. And I think as an industry, we need to grow and be completely honest about that. And the more we're honest from the start, there's going to be less of this Fuping to what was his name before, that is going to kind of
Leslie and Fu Wong.
Leslie and Fu Wong, that's going to kind of step in, because we're already going to have the market saturation with our locally produced stuff that is honest. And whether I don't have a problem, honestly, I don't have a problem if Jim opens up a distillery and he buys from Austral and he does 7 different casks and then he releases it in 6 years' time as a 6-year age whiskey, but he's spent the effort to put it in 6 casks because that's what he wants to do. I don't have a problem with that. I have a big problem with when people don't own it.
I think what we're saying now, 2 things, final takeouts from me, is we're still an embryonic industry and we're finding our way, and we need to acknowledge that we're finding our way. And the other thing is, what was the other thing?
Well, there is still room for regulation without stifling creativity.
That's the balance. The other thing I was going to say
that is the balance.
We need to have a debate. So we don't need people just getting on their pedestals and bashing other people. Let's have an adult debate about it, right? And we don't have to rush it, right? Let's just start debating it and work out where, as an industry, we want to go, and be adults, right? Be respectful and engage. I really do think that's what it's about. And if Leslie Wong and Leslie and Fu Wong want to come on board,
they got married all of a sudden.
They might have. That's cool. They can, absolutely be part of the scene, but don't fuck take shortcuts. Don't try and deceive people, because you will get punished, but the industry will get punished as well, and we can't afford it.
No, and yeah, 100%. 100%. But we are young enough, and I'd hate to see some crazy restrictions come on right now. I think in 10 years time, sure, start to tighten it up, and I'm sure the ADA is going to start to come with some kind of resolution in the next 5 to 10 years of some real solid standards of what is a London Dry, what is a contemporary, what is a vodka, what is a whiskey, what is a single malt, what is a blended.
What is an Australian single malt? What is Australian
single malt?
Yeah.
Because as you guys were talking about the other day, it is so grey. Like we're not talking black and white. We are talking, this shit is so grey right now.
It's fucking muddy.
But the industry is so vibrant that I'd hate to actually stop that. I think the industry will find its own legs, and we will push out as an industry body people like you guys, and we'll push out the shitheads. There are some shitheads in the industry at the moment, and I don't know, Mel and I will jump up and down 100% and make sure those people are known, because
we're happy to be vocal about all these issues. We're not here to be quiet. Like, we want to be a part of forming a solid industry in the future of I look at it, I just think the irony of the reliance on distillers to make hand sanitizer, to then bring in whatever it was, bucket loads from China, and us all be stuck with it. You can't say on one hand we are the future of manufacturing in Australia and then make it impossible for it to actually happen.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah. No,
we're happy to jump up and down along with you.
I'm sure as well on the regulation front, it's a matter of priority as well. I'm sure priority number one would be the safety side of things.
That's number one. Yeah.
So I would certainly hope to see those under your house operations not be able to happen.
No.
That just sounds like a recipe for disaster.
But it's I think a lot of that stems from a general misunderstanding of what is actually involved in the industry.
Yeah.
So transparency about labelling is quite separate to that. I think there could be a bit of regulation in terms of how do you start a distillery in Australia and what boxes need to be ticked, because currently it's all over the place. It's council specific, it's state specific, so that could be
it's too broad and too variable depending on who's in council at the moment.
Yeah. You're right. One thing I've been thinking about a lot lately too is the Liquor Act. When was the Liquor Act written? 19 whatever it was.
1922. When it was still cool to wear fucking girders.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the American Constitution, right? Now the Americans they treat that thing, well, not Americans in general, but a sizable part of the population, they treat that thing as a literal document, and they live and die by that document, right? And the reality is, the way you make whiskey now, I'm coming back to whiskey, is very beer-centric, very brewery-centric, right? How you make a wash. And to make beer, they use all sorts of things. What's an example? They adjust their water chemistry. They do this, they do that. They add minerals. Some use enzymes, some add antifoam, right? And you go, should we not revisit what actually is whiskey? Yeast, water, and barley. Yeah, fine, but hang on a sec. It's like, well, there's other things as well. So I think it's time to personally revisit it. And when I have not arguments but discussions with some distillers about it's discussion. With yeast, water, and barley, and I go, do you use antifoam? Yeah. Well, that's not in the 1901 Liquor Act or whatever it is. So if you use an antifoam, why can't you adjust your water chemistry? You know what I mean? So
I think it goes deeper than that. It's just understanding your equipment as well. So if you're using anti-foam, well, clearly you're trying to jam too much into your still, and then you're not going to get the oils you need out of your product. If there's quite a deep conversation that goes way beyond whether or not you're using anti-foam. It's like, hang on, do you actually understand the fundamentals of what you're doing, and do you have pride and energy and effort into what you're doing as well?
Yeah. No, it's a deep conversation. We better call it. Otherwise, we're going to blow our record out the water in 2 hours. All right,
Jesus.
wrap it up, Luke.
Wrap it up. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, very much.
Yeah,
It was lovely having. I'm glad you were able to join us as well, Mel. That was great.
Thanks for having me.
don't go away at the end
Yeah.
either.
No, hang around for a little bit. So I'm going to flash it up on the screen, imbudistillery.com. And I've been asked to put that onto the website and in the comments and everywhere so that people can get it later on.
Yep.
We're listening to the feedback. We're going to try and make it better. We have what have we got coming up?
Sponsors? No. What shows?
we don't have sponsors.
What we
yet.
do? What show?
What we have is
Epic in the Valley. Hey.
What
is it? What is it, Todd?
Is it
It's a valley that's really epic.
I heard it was epic. It was amazing.
Last year we had 150 people that went off. The big takeout from last year.
Well,
Feedback.
some went off more than others.
Yeah, so we need a quiet corner for campers to sleep, and we need a noisy, rowdy corner. So we've had designated zones this year. It's
so
bigger than Ben Hur, this one.
it is on the 10th, 12th of March at Daly's Campground in Capity, just down the road from Crafty's distillery.
10 K's down the road.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake,
Bring a
you've
spare
you've had to throw it into March when we can't come up and just like.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, we don't worry with this. A lot of people can't make it because it's the right month. But
No,
it's
you know
the right,
what?
it's the right temperature. We can have fires. Yeah, so it's
And it's
It's
gonna
not
be-
too cold that you need a fire.
no. Oh yeah. We have a ceremonial burning of the barrel. Except for last year, I took 2 barrels down and some fucker threw the second barrel on. So I wanted to use it.
Don't leave it sitting by the fire.
Yeah,
then.
moral of the story: don't have your barrels too close to the fire.
Yeah.
It was great. There were so many flames.
So what? Moving on. What episodes we got locked in coming up?
Fuck you, tell me. I don't know. Who have we got next?
Amber Lane.
Are coming up in early March.
Yep, we got Amber Lane coming up.
Hold on, let me bring up the calendar. Shit.
I caught off guard.
You did. I didn't have that prepared earlier.
Very Luke Young.
You
Lukey
have
under the
to add
bar.
Dan and Chris from Noble. They're absolute hoots, and I think you'll have a blast with them.
Yeah, cool.
Oh yes. Okay. So 2nd of March. So 2 weeks time is Amber
Oh,
Lane.
there you
Yeah.
go. Amber Lane
Yeah,
is
there you
next.
go. Awesome.
And who's going to be on?
Rod.
Rod and Phil, or just
As
Rod?
far as I know, it's just Rod at this stage.
Okay,
He
yep.
may surprise us and bring someone else.
Who else we got after that?
Awesome. 2 weeks later, we have Manly.
Manly Spirits, Dave Whitaker. Yep.
See, previously we would go, let's just make sure we can lock them in and not actually say it. I reckon we should actually say it, and it forces them to be locked in.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah,
Last
so
year-
cool with you there.
Last year we booked it. We booked a whole year out solid, and we were terrible at following up. So, like 2 days before,
It's like, oh, fuck.
yeah, I haven't heard from you for 7 months.
Yeah, I'm not available now.
Yeah, who else is coming up?
Then we're getting into the end of March.
World of Whiskey.
What? Can you spell?
Yeah, well, I was pissed when I put that in. So
Very much so.
Does it say Frisky?
It doesn't know.
Oh, was it? Okay, you
World of
were.
Whiskey, the
In
only
that case, you were first.
the only dedicated whiskey shop in Australia. So we're talking to them there, and then we move on.
And that's it.
No,
That's as
and
far
then
as
in
we're
May we've got Cape Byron.
Oh,
Eddie
right.
Eddie Brooks from Cape Byron.
You lock
Eddie
that in
Brooks
today.
is
Very much.
top bloke.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's it. But we've got others locked in. We just haven't got them put in the calendar. So so I need to do that.
You can do that.
Yeah. Anyway, wrap it up.
So thank you all for joining us. Thank you again, guys. ImbueDistillery.com.au. All these
How are
releases.
you?
When? What's your timeline?
May. First
May.
whiskey's May.
Cool.
So
What are we
for,
releasing?
how many? How many of them? Because we had what 3, 4 whiskeys.
2. We're going for a double
so number
release.
10, number 8.
We're going for our sherry barrel, which is barrel number 8, and we're launching
Yep.
barrel
Yeah,
number
that's great.
3.
That's great.
Yeah. And
Very nice.
Are you releasing World Whiskey Day?
Shit, I don't know. When's that?
May.
That could be
May.
Yes, we are.
May. I can't remember World Whiskey Day, but it's May. End of May sometime. Yeah.
I can't remember.
That's a good day to release.
There's a reason
Yeah.
why
That
it's
was so deliberate.
Whiskey Day.
No, maybe before World Whiskey Day, so you can be drinking it on World Whiskey Day. You know.
Yeah.
So do you guys do yourself
Before
a favor and get on the mailing list, guys?
Which
Yes,
mailing
jump
list?
on the website,
Imbue's mailing
ImbueDistillery.com.
list.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
If they get on our mailing list, it's not going to help them, is it?
No.
Still won't know when the release.
We'll
is
have to
gonna
forward
happen.
the emails onto them. It'd be a real pain in the
That would
ass.
be.
We would have to have a mailing list as well.
Oh, we haven't got-
We don't have one.
maybe that's
That'd be
why
a
we've
good
only
thing.
got 5 people.
I was wondering why we didn't get any fan mail or
Hey,
hate mail.
What comments did we have from people?
Anyway, should we say hi to everyone that's been listening?
Hang on a sec, we'll just go through the comments. So there's a few.
The best comment of the night goes to Lucas.
Finger bum.
Finger bum.
Yeah.
Think about it. Oh,
We're talking
God.
What
about
was that in relation to?
who
I was
knows?
saying that one of the whiskies had a real French pastry sort of note. And I think he's meant to type finger bun, but I think he missed
No,
it.
I think he meant
Yeah, I think
finger
it'd
bum.
be,
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And of course, we had Rosemary
Yes.
chime in that they keep their yeast growing. Why clean your fermenter when you can just get that bit of extra flavour?
That's
Yeah,
what
but
she
they
said.
make dirty agave spirit. Yeah, dirty.
I have
dirty.
some of their level. It's actually very nice agave spirit.
Oh.
I have some on the shelf.
fantastic.
They're doing some amazing
They
stuff.
will be at Epic in the Valley.
Yeah, they will.
Actually-
And they're releasing something new, I think.
Mm.
I hope.
You know what I love about Rosemary, and I can't remember her husband's name.
James.
Stephen.
No.
James.
That's
is they actually
Stephen.
ferment on the husk, so they smash it, they grow
Yep.
it, they
Yeah,
smash
yeah.
it all up, and they ferment on it. So their flavors are really, really natural, and yeah, hats off to what they're doing because it's completely different from what TSL are doing.
Oh, it's fucking
amazing
hardcore
what
what
they
they're doing. They're cutting the what do you call it? The pinya.
Yeah.
They're walking over the snakes. It's like it's really hardcore. And
Yeah.
their artwork, their labels.
You want me to
stunning.
show one? I have a bottle. Hang on.
Yeah, grab it.
I've got all of them.
We'll get them at the same time.
Yeah.
Now it's the Rosemary. I Love Rosemary show.
It is the I Love
It's the
Rosemary.
I Love Rosemary
We
show.
love you. Oh, was it the same one? No good.
Yeah,
No,
wicked
no,
stuff. Wicked.
I love it. Anyway, those guys are super cool and super natural. So yeah, hats off to them, what they're doing. They're not trying to compete with
What
anyone.
I like doing is with the Pachuga, I like to give that to vegans and don't tell them.
Oh, that's evil.
Oh, there's no kangaroo in here. What are you talking about?
No, it's like, here, you should have a try of this one. They go, oh, right, that's interesting. Why? What's interesting about that? Like, well, let me tell you.
I still can't get my head around the process. They suspend the meat in the
They
still.
hang the meat in the still, and
Yeah,
you
wow.
get the drippings and the. But kangaroo's not very fatty,
Yeah,
so it's not as. I don't think it had. Oh, we've lost him.
We lost Mick.
He probably ran out of battery.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably. Yeah, no, it's all good.
So Rosemary just needs to breed a really fatty root.
So what would happen if you hang a kangaroo in a pot still and make whiskey?
Probably make a mess.
Yeah.
Knowing your process, yes.
Yeah.
It's not compliant with the 1901 Act or whatever.
I don't know what sort of flavour would add to your whiskey though.
Oh no, we can't do it. No, I'm not
Just,
going to do that.
Would
No.
it be hoppy?
Oh.
It could be hoppy. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, that gets to the one for the night.
boy,
Yeah, you get the prize.
Oh.
That's
There's
the
a
best
special
one.
booby prize waiting for you around the corner there.
Oops. I have boobs. All right. Thank you all again. And please like and subscribe and join us in 2 weeks' time.
Don't go, Mel.
No, stay
Okay.
there. We'll put you up. Bye all. Bye.